Welcome aboard to NJ.com's live Winter Meetings chat, as it was a crazy week around Major League Baseball. And we have with us now both of our reporters that have been out there the entire week as the whole landscape of Major League Baseball turned upside down at the Winter Meetings. Brendan Kuty covering the Yankees, Mike Vorkunov on the Mets. And guys, first of all, you're all right? You're still alive? I feel like every time I turn around, you guys are talking about more news, writing more on NJ.com. It's been a busy week.
Yeah, I have a pretty high blood Red Bull content right now, so I probably shouldn't be going anywhere or driving anything. I don't know about you, Brendan. I don't know how it's been for you. You've been busy.
Yeah, well, the Yankees haven't done a whole lot, but I've been scratching my head a ton, wondering what's going on. So that's been my main occupation.
Yeah, you and a lot of Yankees fans. All right, let's start where the dominoes started to fall. What were your thoughts on where Jon Lester decided to pitch? He chose the Cubs over the Red Sox. Then it feels like after that, all these moves just started coming down in a flurry.
Yeah, if you look at it, Brendan, I think we were talking about it the other day, just like the effect that it had in the entire marketplace.
Right. A lot of pitchers, you saw Brandon McCarthy recently sign with the Dodgers, were waiting for Jon Lester to move, not so much to set a market price, but for teams to order their priorities. The Dodgers were a little bit in on Lester, but now that they knew he was heading to Chicago with no chance of going to LA, it opened up spots with other clubs, opened up spots with Los Angeles. Lester's deal appeared to make sense, and we should see pitching really move a lot within the next couple days. Again, Masterson going and Porcello being traded to the Red Sox. Really, all it takes is one domino to fall.
Yeah, if you look at what Lester signed, I think late Tuesday night here, I guess it was early morning, East Coast time. You look at the next 36 hours, look at the guys that have gone, Porcello, Alfredo Simon, Justin Masterson, Brandon McCarthy signs, the trickle-down effect that it has, because you start off with the high-priced guys and you see where teams budget their assets and their money, then it clears up. That's why I think if this deal had happened Sunday night or something like that, it could have gotten down far enough to affect the Mets as well, considering they have guys available kind of in the, you want to say, third or fourth tier of available starting pitchers. So, it just, Lester was sitting there, and as soon as it got done, everything got freed up, and people understood, okay, our number one target is off the board. Let's go somewhere else.
All right, guys, let's talk about the teams you cover and what they did or didn't do this week. We'll start with you, Brennan, on the Yankees. You said you were kind of scratching your head at the moves maybe they didn't make. Now, Brandon McCarthy, who they expressed some interest in bringing back, he's now gone, as we've been talking about. He's gone to the Dodgers. Your thoughts on the Yankees as a whole for the week and what they did or didn't accomplish?
Okay, well, while I said I'm scratching my head at the moves they didn't make, the two big moves that affected them the most, David Robertson going to the White Sox, McCarthy going to the Dodgers, those were too high of prices for the Yankees. McCarthy and his injury history, Robertson and his, at times, shakiness in a closer role, the fact that the Yankees were able to get back a draft pick. My question and where I'm scratching my head now is where they're heading for the future. The Yankees are clearly interested in bringing back Hiroki Kuroda, who had a solid season last year but is about to turn 40. Tough to say whether he will return or be as effective if he does return. And with all the money they're saving, not going after Robertson, not giving McCarthy cash, getting a cheap option in Didi Gregorius, what's the plan? Are they saving up for a possible run at Max Scherzer, who would anchor their rotation for years to come? Or are they really banking on everybody coming back and bouncing back and having what they thought the 2014 Yankees be in 2015?
Brendan, how about the Mets here? Mike, how about the Mets and what they did or didn't do this week? They did go out there and get John Mayberry today, who I think is a good option for them as a platoon guy. He does hit lefties really well, and the Mets didn't hit lefties really well last year at all. I think he'll be a good option for them. But people keep waiting for the shortstop. When is the shortstop coming? I know you talked and you were around Terry Collins, and he was talking up Flores. He was talking up Tejada as internal options. But as far as the Mets, what they did, what's next? What were your thoughts for the week?
Well, with shortstop, I wouldn't say that there should be any expectation that there's an acquisition made there. If you look at the market, Sandy Olson has been very bearish on what's available via the trade route. He put it at 2 to 3 guys that are players that they could look for and try to acquire who would actually improve their 2015 team, because that's the threshold. It has to be someone who's better than Wilmer Flores at this point and worth giving up the assets for. There's not a lot of those guys out there, especially after the White Sox made moves. Didi Gregorius got traded. Those types of guys are kind of off the board. And in free agency, you look at Asdrubal Cabrera, you look at Jed Lowry, Stephen Drew. Are they really improvements over Wilmer Flores? I can't say definitively that they are. They have their own warts, whether it be hitting wise, whether it be on the decline in their careers, all combined with their the price that it would cost them. Wilmer Flores is already a league average hitter for a shortstop. Even the tumultuous season that he had in 2014, if you can assume that he gets better, they have a guy who can hit. He's not the best defender, but just getting better in that is difficult in itself. And I think making a trade for a shortstop is unlikely at this point. That's what Alderson has said, and that's the kind of the biggest thing that people are looking for. Otherwise, it's waiting for them to trade a starting pitcher, and that at this point is obviously going to be a prolonged wait.
Guys, what move surprised you the most this week? Was it what the Marlins were able to do, bringing in D. Gordon? That move kind of came out of nowhere, just how aggressive the Marlins are. Was it something the Red Sox did, the Tigers? What move of all the moves surprised you the most when you first heard it was coming down?
For me, the most surprising move, and I might be able to top it later if I really think about it, but was the Red Sox being able to turn Yoenis Cespedes into Rick Porcello. There have been talk that Cespedes wasn't enough to get Porcello from the Tigers. Porcello's on his way up. Cespedes over the last few years has seen his on-base percentage decline. His batting average really isn't that great. And while power is at a premium these days in major leagues, Porcello, a Jersey native, a Chester guy, Seton Hall prep graduate, he's really coming into his own. And the Red Sox really might have gotten a steal there.
For me, it's what the Marlins are doing. Obviously, you have to give the qualifier about the Dodgers and Andrew Friedman working his Andrew Friedman magic, somehow turning, retiring Dan Herron into a starting second baseman to Howie Kendrick. And I don't know, I thought that was great work. But, the Marlins, it surprised me not the moves that they made, just the immediacy of their actions. They went in about a week, to showing that they're full-throated about 2015, that the Giancarlo Stanton signing wasn't just them locking up a guy for cheap and then hoping that he doesn't opt in for the final 7 years of that contract. They're really trying to do something next year, and by acquiring Matt Latos and D. Gordon and giving up young, controllable pitching like Andrew Haney, that says win now rather than build up for the future. So that to me was very impressive. And if you look at the NL East now, the Nationals obviously are at the top of the division considering where their team is at this point. But you have the Mets building up and kind of developing along that growth curve, and then you have the Marlins now who've made much more significant offseason additions along with the young players that they had, the position players they had pitching to it. That's going to be a pretty interesting race to watch next year.
And yesterday, with the Dodgers making all the moves, Andrew Friedman really announced himself as a guy who's not afraid to spend money after these years of...
When he has it.
Yeah, after these years of dealing with the Rays and their low budgets. Last night they were setting up the podium here over at the Winter Meetings to announce the Dodgers' moves, and I thought NWO's music was going to start playing and Hogan was going to come out and Friedman at some point might put Cashman through a table. It was just incredible what Friedman was able to do yesterday.
It was. It was fun to watch. Last night being up late on the East Coast, you're just watching the flurry of things. I was like, wow. The Dodgers, we know they're aggressive, but I agree with you guys. Friedman, I've always thought he's a good GM, but he never really had the chance to do some of the things he can do now. It's like he's playing in a different world.
Yeah, the assets that are available to him at this point. The Dodgers have a very, very highly regarded minor league system combined with the money that's available to them now. He was kind of quilting together 90-win teams in Tampa Bay. Sky's the limit for the Dodgers, considering the major league talent they already have on board.
It certainly is. A smart guy with a lot of money. That's a dangerous combination for the rest of baseball. Guys, it was kind of buried because of everything that happened after, but what were your thoughts on what happened with the Chicago teams? It was kind of a buzz about the city of Chicago and their teams early at the Winter Meetings. Lester, we talked about, and then the White Sox bringing in Jeff Samardzija to go with Chris Sale. That could be a dominant, top two in a rotation.
White Sox aren't messing around. Sale, Samardzija, Robertson, LaRoche earlier in the year. they're declaring themselves as competitors for 2015. They must have looked at it as it would take too long to tear down and rebuild into a contender. Might as well give it a shot now. The White Sox are scary next season.
Yeah, I had one executive tell me he thinks they're the favorites in the AL Central next year, which is something considering the Royals run, obviously, and the Tigers and what they have in the last few years. I mean, you have that top of the rotation with Sale, and you have Samardzija, you have Quintana on top of that. Jose Abreu's second year in baseball, in professional Major League Baseball. Who knows what he can do once he makes the adjustments. The Cubs are obviously, they're a little bit further away. I think Lester's kind of an addition for the future, more so than 2015, because they need some of those young position players to ripen before they can really be World Series contenders. But when you can add him to front that rotation, knowing whatever else they may be acquire going forward, 2016 seems like the possibility of something big in Chicago, not just from the White Sox, but the Cubs too.
Guys, I feel like when all these teams get together, it's usually the stories about which teams are building up. We just talked about some of them. One that clearly is going the other way and tearing down what used to be a great team is the Phillies. Jimmy Rollins, the first domino to fall there. Do you think some more dominoes will continue to fall with the Phillies over the next couple months, trading away some established players that used to be stars for them?
If they're willing to eat the money. I mean, the biggest thing is Jimmy Rollins is still a good player, so you can trade him and get some kind of value for him because he's still above average to a good shortstop. Ryan Howard, he's got a bloated contract and the production isn't there. They'd really have to eat a lot of money before any team is willing to take him on. There's some rumors there about Marlon Byrd, who's got 1 year left and can hit for power, so you think you can get something from him. But they're obviously in the middle of a rebuild. I think Pat Gillick said earlier this offseason that 2 years away, 3 years away, something in that type of timeline. It's going to be ugly for them going forward. It has been ugly. It's obviously going to be uglier as they try to grow some kind of farm system, let alone improving the Major League team.
And they'll turn it around, though, with whatever they can get back for Cole Hamels. They've been chopping him pretty hard. He doesn't seem likely to stick around in Philadelphia. Whatever they get for him, and they're asking for a pretty penny. I've had a bunch of baseball people tell me that while Cole Hamels is good, what the Phillies are asking for him is a bit high. If a team gets desperate enough, is willing to give the Phillies what they want for Hamels, they'll be able to turn around the ship a little bit quicker. But, yeah, things are looking ugly for the Phillies over the next few years.
All right, guys, give me a name each that you're paying attention to as we're done with the winter meetings now. It's over, and now we go back to just kind of the regular offseason. Outside of Max Scherzer, because he's the biggest name, I think, left out there. Outside of Scherzer, a name you're interested in seeing, where does he land over the next few weeks, next month or so?
You want to handle this one?
For me, it's Chase Headley, obviously, considering I covered the Yankees. He holds the key to what the Yankees are able to do going forward with their infield. Do they shift Prado to third if Headley doesn't come back? Do they really let two unproven youngsters battle for second base? I doubt it, in Robert Refsnyder and Jose Pirela. Or do they go out and sign a veteran who can play second base or shortstop if Didi Gregorius and Brendan Ryan, that platoon, doesn't show itself to be a viable option? For me, again, Chase Headley, seeing what money he gets, seeing where he goes. There's been reports that he has an offer in hand, a 4-year, $65 million offer. I respect the reporters who are here. I don't doubt that someone has told them that, but there's a chance that number has been floated out there as a way to boost Chase Headley's market. If I'm the Yankees, I don't give him 4 years and $65 million.
I guess I would be interested to see what the Nationals do. You've heard Jordan Zimmerman's name thrown out there a lot. They're a World Series title team, a winning potential title team in 2015. You're talking about their best starting pitcher, and if they decide to trade him, or you've seen reports about Ian Desmond, what does that do for them next year? Are they willing to weaken the 2015 team, which can be a championship one, just to kind of mitigate the future damages going forward? It's fascinating to me because if they get worse next year as two teams below them get better, it really throws the division for a loop. And then obviously, 2014 was so weird because, the worst team to get into the playoffs from the NL ended up winning it. It shows the randomness of the baseball playoffs. It's March Madness. So really, I mean, if the Nationals get worse and get 2 bad breaks next year, who knows who wins the NL East and who knows who wins the NL period?
Mike, you just made a whole bunch of Mets fans pretty excited watching this here. Guys, this was fun. Appreciate you making a few minutes. I know you've been busy and you'll still be busy there, so enjoy your little time left in San Diego, and we'll catch up again soon.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
There they go. Brendan Kuty, Mike Vorkunov, live from San Diego at the Winter Meetings. Thanks for watching.